So hello everyone.
Feels like a radio show.
Yeah,
Podcast.
where's the music? So we have a few questions that we have prepared from the stuff you've sent us. Nadia, the questions in the chat. No, they were collected from forums.
The Amazon, Amazon.
So
One moment, please.
how can I refer to them? Can I read them from our
Just read it from the net.
Yeah, but 1 second, sorry. Okay. We have concluded that it's easier if we just read the questions. I was trying to find a reference for every question, but it's not, it won't fly that way. So let's go. First question, egg005719. Is there a specific date for launching mainnet and announcing airdrop structure? So, from the roadmap we had in the white paper the white paper that we published in December last year. So it's been quite some time that it's out there. The token launch is targeting Q4 of this year. So I guess there's not much point in getting into details about a specific date. We are preparing everything that is necessary to be ready at the beginning of Q4. As far as the airdrop is concerned, we have a very detailed article in our blog that describes all this. Should I paste it in the AMA chat? There you go. So I don't think I should. Very briefly, I'm going to mention the airdrop very briefly because I'm sure most of you have already read this. But what we're doing is we will rerun the reward, the latest version of the reward mechanism using the latest version of the quality of data validation mechanism. And based on that, we will conclude what is the number of crypto token rewards that every station should get, and then we will spread those rewards evenly over time. So essentially, it's not a traditional airdrop; it's a reward boost for the people who participated in the beta period. So next question. For the mainnet, does the team intend to stay on Polygon, or does it want to change the chain and it should keep low fees in mind? So let me tell you about the situation here. We have evaluated Filecoin using the EVM machine that is EVM compatible. That it's a new upgrade in the Filecoin. We have also evaluated Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync, and it's a bit tricky to find the best. Why? Anadio. Come on, I can see my green circle being highlighted when I'm talking, so it should be working. Yeah. Okay, let's go. So so there are some chains have some unique characteristics, like Arbitrum. It gives you the ability to do a layer 3, and this is something that we are evaluating, so we can do some exotic stuff with the data marketplace, with the management of the data and the automating the consumption of the data from Weather Oracle Web3 perspective. And again, the same applies with Filecoin. Filecoin gives us some advantages when in relationship to data management and compute on data, and in regards to marketplace functionalities that we seek for the future. And but we haven't decided yet. We know for sure that we're going to be in an EVM compatible chain. We can very easily change this minute. So it's not. We are still in the process of evaluating what we're going to do. In terms of the gas, how to minimize gas, yeah, that's why we're looking at those L2 that I mentioned. Obviously, we want to minimize the gas for the company, but also for the station owners. We made a new change in the reward mechanism, which probably most of you have not seen. I'm just pasting GitHub repo here. This is the version, we call it version 2 of the reward mechanism, and it's based on Merkle tree rewards. That means that on a daily basis, we create in a single transaction, we give all the rewards to all the wallets, to all the station owners, using a complementary file that is stored on IPFS, the Merkle tree. And so that means the gas fees are dramatically reduced from the company's perspective, and however, this introduces an additional step to the community. Now, now every station owner has to claim the rewards, therefore pay some gas fees in order to receive the rewards. In what we have today, you don't have to pay any gas fees. Obviously, you just receive the rewards directly. I know it sounds like a downgrade, but in reality, it's an improvement because what we have today cannot scale. We cannot scale the rewards to hundreds or tens of thousands of wallets. So the Merkle tree approach is the correct approach for scaling rewards. It introduces an additional step from the station owner's perspective, and we will try to minimize that disadvantage by improving the user experience flow with some kind of framework that can handle the gas as part of the transaction, so gasless transaction. And this relates again to the chain that we're going to use and the ecosystem and the tools around it. So this is what we're trying to solve basically in the new reward mechanism. Another interesting point here is that we're looking at account abstraction as a means to simplify the onboarding for people that don't have a ERC20 wallet. But all this is going to clear out in Q3, so in the next 1 or 2 months. Next question. More or less the same question. Are we going to launch on Polygon, POS, or zk-EVM? Throughput fees? Any plans for liquidity pools and staking? So the gas thing is what I described before. For the token launch, we will probably have a DEX pool that we will handle ourselves, but we're also discussing with centralized exchanges for our token to exist there. So again, this is something that will be finalized in the next 1 or 2 months. The goal here is to have both. And staking, this is something we discussed in the previous AMA sessions as well. We do see a use for staking, but it's related with validators and some kind of service to the network. There's no point of staking and giving yield just for holding, in my point of view. So once we have validators, which is something that it will be introduced at some point in the future, then I think the staking discussion comes into play. What's this, Nadia? Next question, estimates of total number of station sales by the end of the year. So the sales of the stations have slowed down because we're not actively pursuing any marketing campaigns because we were focused on building infrastructure and building services, and now we are focused towards B2B and demand side sales. So yeah, we are a bit behind in terms of what we could have done to boost the supply side sales. We have started some improvements that are in the marketing department. We're going to do some content updates on the website. We're going to improve the sales funnel and so on. But I think I think most of our emphasis should be given on the B2B side. So that's why we have just today created a new channel in Discord called B2B Use Cases. And it's empty. Actually, it's hidden. It's not. Have you turned on the B2B channel? No. Okay.
Yet.
Anyway, it's going to be open in a while. And the idea is this is a new channel so we can discuss B2B leads and B2B use cases. And basically, we want to get your feedback into understanding the requirements and the features that we need to add into the product. So to give you an example here, there's something that we have discussed many times, well, internally and sometimes externally with you on a feature called Follow Your Station. So the idea here is that somebody can see the weather data and the weather forecast of another station. So he's not the owner of the station, but he can see the data. That's a very simple functionality. I mean, simple as a concept, but it unlocks a lot of possibilities. I think the end goal here and what we're trying to achieve is a scenario where the owner of the station and the person who gets the crypto rewards is different from the person who gets the weather forecasts and the raw weather data. And this unlocks some B2B use cases that we have seen in the past that customers want. And at the same time, we hope that it unlocks the possibility of getting some help from the community in order to find more leads, find more B2B customers. So if you have something like this, if what I described makes sense, or if you have some ideas in that department, the right place to have this discussion is this new channel that Nadia is gonna open in a while. Do you wanna do any questions?
Yeah, we can do it like.
Okay. Next question. What are your expectations for number of 4G sales when it's released and blah, blah, blah? So 4G is a B2B product for us. I mean, we think that, yeah, definitely for now, because we're in the process of doing pilots and we're in the alpha phase of the 4G. 4G is more complex than Wi-Fi and LoRaWAN in the making. So it's taking us quite some time, even though we already have two products. And the sales of the 4G are not going to start anytime soon because we don't want to be in the situation where we do all these pre-sales and then deliver the hardware ages later, like traditionally happens in these projects.
We want to do it the Apple way.
So we want to be, we want to have hardware in stock and then start sales. Or if we open pre-sales, we want to have a definite timeline on the dates that we can deliver. So I'm guessing 4G sales will start sometime in Q4.
Yeah, probably,
near the token launch.
Probably early Q4.
Yeah. So next question: station hardware compatibility. Are there going to be two stations or more?
What does that mean? Actually, will the station hardware be the same as one of the other two stations already available? Well, that is in the context of 4G, I assume. Yeah, so the
Yes.
station is a separate entity from the gateway. For example, in you have the M5 and the weather station. They are two separate, and they're very different things. So we are planning to, for the first 4G version, we are planning to have support for the existing weather station models. So they will be sold in a bundle where you will get a 4G gateway along with a WS1000 or WS2000 weather station, and they will work together. And in the future, we're planning to add the support for more advanced weather stations, for example, industrial weather stations or maybe solid state weather stations. So yeah, the first versions, the first bundles will have the existing models of weather stations. Are the current rate of sales? That's a completely different question.
Well, it's a long question from who wrote this question? Is it Skelly? Skelly, your questions are awesome, man. I mean, difficult, but yeah. So it's a large set of questions that we broke down in.
You can't hear the answers, but okay.
Well,
At least
he will find a YouTube video and hear them
watch it
afterwards.
later.
So yeah, he's asking. So Skelly's asking, what's our runway basically in terms of expenses, operational costs for the company, in relationship to investments, to the capital we received from the investors, and so on. So the plan has always been that we did this pre-seed round. We sold the stations as part of beta, and we wanted that that seed round of 5 million. We wanted it to last until token launch and until we have set the infrastructure in place so we can do the next step. And we're very comfortably in that range. We still have a lot of runway ahead of us, and token launch is only a few months away. Infrastructure is there, so yeah, long.
It's far beyond the token launch. So
yeah, so our runway,
long enough.
It's definitely more than the token launch that we are aiming for this year. But having said that, we will do a Series A at Q4 together with token launch. So we will raise again from investors to extend the runway so we can
also scale,
implement the what's needed for the demand side. Plans for increasing sales. I kind of mentioned it before, but we kind of left marketing on autopilot. We didn't do a lot. We created some content, but we didn't actively pursue marketing campaigns for selling stations until now. And we're planning to slowly start, improving on that department. We have a job ad for a marketing person, by the way, if anybody is interested. But we are also collaborating with some firms that have experience in this department. So we are doing a double approach, and we expect to have a boost in sales in 1 or 2 months from now. It's not really a problem, but obviously the larger the network, the better. So it's something that we do want to improve as well. Next question, PF4. A decision on what percentage of data every station should report in order to get a full credit of rewards. Okay, so this is we're planning to do a very thorough analysis and explanation for this, because this is essentially the whole reward mechanism. But just to give you some quick highlights, we have something that we call internally the cell capacity modeling, which we are planning to release soon. So we did this analysis of Earth and we tried to come up with a number of stations that are needed, ideally needed on every cell in order to cover meteorologically the globe with ground weather stations. And so this analysis puts a maximum number of stations per cell. And we combine that with the quality of data mechanism that we have. So the whole mechanism that is evaluating how useful the data that the station shared were. And those two lead to the score. Now, the question here is specifically about number of data sets, the number of data points. So this is one of the quality of data assessment criteria that we have, like how many data are missing. And I'm guessing the question here is in relationship to Helium, because Helium is more the Helium connected networks stations are more prone to packet loss because of the coverage, in case there is not a good coverage in the LoRaWAN network. So as we've mentioned before, the goal here is to have at least one packet every 10 minutes. The firmware that we have set in the Helium devices today is trying to send packets every 3 minutes. So that means 3 packages every 10 minutes. So you can afford to lose 2 packets out of 3, basically. After that, there will be a deduction in the rewards. It will have a negative effect on the score. I'm not going to get into more details because it's a complex topic, and we will discuss it more thoroughly in written form. But I think it's interesting for you guys to know what we've done in the quality of data mechanism. So right now we are in a position to do the following checks. We can have an idea on the deployment of the station based on obstacles that we can detect nearby that have to do that, and we detect them from solar radiation variations and wind gaps, wind variations. So that has to do with the deployment. We're doing some checks for out-of-bound values. So essentially that checks if there are any problems with sensors. We have an anomaly detection part that is trying to detect if the station is indoor or if it has a major flow or a major problem. So there's no variation in light, temperature, wind, as it should be based on the location on Earth that it is. And we have a third-party data validation that is related to, again, solar measurements in relationship to satellite data that gives us an idea of what kind of solar data we should expect. Those are the quality of data mechanisms that we have, and those are going to be part of the reward mechanism version 2. That is essentially the reward mechanism that we are going to do the talking about. Do you want to continue?
Well, you can switch to hardware question, maybe.
This is Helium. Yeah, so we kind of covered the Helium. So Scale is asking again in relationship to Helium and poor signal and stuff like that. I'm just gonna say this and I'm gonna stop talking. Yeah. But what we did with the Helium network, it has never happened before. I don't think Helium has any other customer right now that has created the type of network that we have in terms of spread around the globe and number of devices. So we have quite a few hundreds of devices connected on the Helium network, and they're spread all over the world. So essentially, we are creating the baseline for how how many packets it is normal to receive within 10 minutes. Okay. People are complaining here that I'm talking too
Yeah,
much.
the answer is actually pretty short. So the gist of it is that we send about 2 to 4 packets actually per 10 minutes. So the maximum is 2. The average is 3 packets per 10 minutes. As long as you have 1 packet per 10 minutes, this is enough for you to not lose rewards, and this is enough for us to
Claim that
to
we
have
don't
enough data to offer the services that we need to offer forecast, for example. So yeah, this is the short answer to this. Do you want to take this? This is your favorite topic.
So they're complaining that I'm talking too much,
Yeah,
but now they're handing me the questions. Okay.
I can answer it in short. Okay, so the question is, can you give us a snapshot of how the weather forecast improvement system works? The example is, whose is the
Scalagrim wrote the example.
Okay, so there's an example here. Forecast says no or very low chance of precipitation and low predicted winds. However, during that time, the station measures an amount of precipitation and high winds. What happens with this data to improve the forecast going forward? So the forecast the forecast works taking into account data from the past. So we collect data from our stations along with data from third-party providers, and we correlate this data to correct the forecasts retrospectively. So we can know for a specific point in space and in time if the weather forecast for a specific service was correct or not. And we can use as input to this algorithm, let's say, our own data from our own stations, along with data from third-party or public stations. This is the short question. I don't know if it was clear enough. Probably
short answer.
This is a short answer. It's actually a whole PhD on.
But I try again. No, come on. It's easier than that. So you have. So how can we create a better forecast? This is what I'm trying to explain in very simple terms.
You should do it in less words than.
We collect 10 forecasts from 10 different providers, and let's assume half of them they are claiming that it's going to rain tomorrow. The other half claim that it's not going to rain tomorrow. So one day passes, and your weather station measures rain. So it did rain. The first half of the forecast providers that did not have rain. Come on, guys, this is not helping me. So the first half of the forecast that it had no rain will get a bad score, accuracy tracking score, forecast skill score. The second half that had the second set of forecasts that had a good score, that predicted the rain, will get a good score. Okay, so that's how we rank third-party forecasts. We're not doing our own forecast. We are ranking third-party forecasts. And then we do this for every element. So this is not only for rain, it's for temperature, for wind, for all the elements. And then we do this for the 1 day ahead, 2 days ahead, and so on, up to 7 days ahead, or as many days ahead every forecast provides. So we are in a position to know the best forecast per location using the data that are coming from the weather station. So we're using the weather station as the ground truth to evaluate the forecast, the third-party forecast. And then we select the best forecast and we serve that forecast as our own forecast for that location. So that's the first step. In addition to serving a forecast, we can also serve the actual report, the quality of forecast report. And this is one of our services. And this is one of the services that B2B companies want. We can also synthesize a forecast, again, of our own that combines the best parts of third-party forecasts, or we can create a machine learning forecast that is using those third-party forecasts with the truth as input. So that's how we can improve the forecast. Right now, we're not doing all this in production. We are doing all this in our staging environment, and we are moving towards a direction where we can prove that our forecast is better. And once we have achieved this, we will have both the forecast and the proofs out in the public. So, next one.
What? Sure. Let me just, we didn't introduce, right? We jumped into the
Yes.
Yeah, they know us.
They know.
Since I have been in
You've never been in AMA.
AMA, I'm Stratus on the software team mostly, among other stuff. So, okay. First of all, thanks for the questions and thanks for all the suggestions on Discord. We're actively looking at these, and I think we now have the capacity, having built enough infrastructure, to start releasing more features that the community is asking for. So let me go to the questions. One from Goldtail. Can we please have a standalone weather-only app with no token, no reward references? Why not? So our focus indeed is the weather. We're trying to build the world's best weather network after all. So in our latest mobile app designs, you will see that the rewards part is a bit toned down and only exists as a single tab in the station detail screen. However, the token rewards part is crucial for this project. We only want to reward stations that are that have very good quality data. So we are enriching the reward mechanism with quality of data features like Manolis described earlier and proof of location features. So we are going to see in the apps a stronger relationship between the rewards and the data of the station. Having said that, we are going to release more and more weather-related features like weather alerts, detailed forecasts with charts, daily extremes, such kind of stuff. And while a standalone weather app is not in our plans, once we open up the API, we would be happy to see also what the community has to offer, community contributions. Let me answer one more question from Greg. So any timeline on the ability to follow a station, any timeline on in-app notifications, and any update on the ability for a station ID to be available in the on-chain transaction. So I really feel that Greg has a spy inside the team. Lina, do you know something about it? We are currently working on several improvements on the Explorer, both for mobile and the web. And we are adding search functionality and various network statistics, something that the community has already asked for in the past, Greg included, if I remember correctly. But to answer the question, once these features are released, follow station, like being able to find a station on the Explorer that I like and I want to know the weather there and being able to add it to my stations is one of the top priority features. And also share my station. So it's the reverse functionality that I privately share my station with other users, like my wife or anyone. I estimate that these two features will probably be released within the summer. Notifications are as well high in our backlog and our priorities. We have planned currently 3 kinds of notifications for station deployment issues, like when your station goes offline, or if your station is not sending good quality data. The second is notifications for extreme weather alerts. And later on, we plan to have user set thresholds where a user will be able to get notified, for example, if the temperature goes above 40 degrees or something. So user set alerts. And the third question about the station ID on transaction, that's definitely something we have in mind. We want to add more metadata on chain, like the station ID and proof of data quality. But we're planning to go even further. So as we build more and more Web3 features, we are already envisioning a Web3 alter ego of our stations that might be in the form of an NFT or a smart wallet address, or just an entry on chain. So I can't be more specific at this point, but this is definitely something we have in mind. Nikos, maybe a hardware question?
Sure. Give me. Yeah, we have quite a few hardware-related questions. So Sven X asks, "Hi, when will the SDRwxm Miner be available? What about the price and specifications?" So currently, as we said before, our primary focus is on developing the cellular version, also known as 4G model. So we do not have a specific time frame on the release of that. There are quite a few issues also that are, let's say, blocking on this. For example, it is very hard to verify a third-party weather station. So for those that do not know what SDR means, SDR stands for software defined radio. It is when you can use, for example, a device provided by us that can talk or listen to already available weather stations. So if you already have a weather station from another manufacturer, you can use this device to onboard it, let's say, on our network and use it as a WeatherXM weather station. This comes with quite a few difficulties. As I said, it's very difficult to onboard a third-party weather station because there are like countless models, countless variations, each of them with its own quirks. Some of them may be not good enough for our network, for example, and it's very difficult to grade or limit people from using any kind of weather station that might not be a good fit for us. So this is just one of the problems. Another problem is privacy. So privacy issues, they mostly have to do with they are mostly legal problems because, for example, you can use your SDR device to listen to another for your neighbor's weather station, for example. So what are you doing? I mean, come on, this is, yeah, I don't know what are you doing, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, and last but not least, many weather stations have proprietary protocols. They are not open. We cannot use them. They could also cause legal problems with the manufacturer, because some manufacturers keep their protocols closed, protocol specification closed. So it's a difficult product overall, but it's not out of our. It's still in our roadmap, but it's not priority for now. Should I answer another question? I mean,
Yeah.
So Manos, for those that don't know, Manos is playing Pac-Man on my screen, and I have the questions here all lined up. Please use your mobile phone.
I just need this corner here.
I can't see this. Oh, anyway, so Rev, my favorite user, asks, "Is there a plan for one of my favorites?" I'm not playing favorites here. "Is there a plan for the people who had broken sensors and needed replacements, though not their fault, through no fault of their own, to not be penalized or have their rewards reduced given for the days that we see?" Anyway, he's basically asking that if I have a weather station and it was down for a reason that was not
His fault.
the user's fault, will I be penalized for these days that the weather station was not sending data? Well, the answer is not simple. So we are in the beta phase, and the aim of the beta phase is to detect these exact problems. So we need to detect possible hardware failures or software problems in the backend or problems in the installation process. So it is inevitable that rewards will be lost. So with that said, unfortunately, it's impossible to detect if missing data on the station was due to a technical problem on our side, or maybe it was improper use or faults on the user side. So it's really difficult or maybe impossible to differentiate the two. So what we can do in this case is we just try to fix the problem as soon as possible by offering free replacements of parts. This is as much as can be done. So do you want to take the next question, or I see your hands are shaking?
I'm trying to put questions in the chat.
Yeah,
I didn't know you need 2 computers.
I need 3 screens minimum.
So,
You should have known by that now.
Strato, give us another question. Man.
Okay, let's see. So, okay, I have a question that I don't want to answer, so I will answer this one. From Ridiculous, is there an update on releasing the API? So it's kind of embarrassing to talk about this because I know we've promised it in the past and we have delayed this a bit or a lot. But we don't have an ETA yet, mainly because we're working on an API portal, like a developer portal that will ensure a healthy API service accessible to everyone while also preventing abuse. Having said that, the API is open in the sense that it's not closed; it's public. So it's not officially open,
Why
but
don't I share the link?
it's not hidden. Yeah, feel free to share the link.
You just revealed that there is a link.
So there is a
Why
public
not?
Swagger API
So
definition.
if there are any developers out there, they would probably have figured this out already. The reason,
Well, we do know that people are using it at the moment.
yeah, we know that some people are using it already, and so the thing is that there's some missing functionality from the API, and that's why we're not trying to promote the use of the API basically at this point. But it's out there. If you want to look at smart home integration, using your own credentials and your own weather station is very easy to do this. We also want to help with this. It has been discussed many times in the past, like, let's build some plugins for integrating the weather station with other projects and other devices, especially in the smart home ecosystem. That's very easy to do. We want to help with that. It's just that we don't have time at this point. That's why I'm, throwing the API out there into the wild. That's perfect.
Perfect. Full stop.
Yes, easy stuff.
Okay.
Next
What, you want me to answer one?
Come on,
Okay.
don't take that.
Yeah, there's too many questions, so we're going to reply to these questions that were sent before the AMA, but we also have quite a few in the chat.
Yeah. So I'm trying to read. That's why.
I'm collecting them in the document. That's why you see me typing, so we can answer them afterwards. Some of them are like too complex, like
You
it will
can
take
tell,
too long to answer. But yeah, whatever.
you can
so-
tell that we had the reverse.
Greg asks, what recent insights has the team gathered from the data provided by stations? And are there any insights that came specifically from now having more than one station model? Let's start from the second part. No, there are no insights coming from different models. They're very similar. We chose them to be very similar. We don't want to have variations in our data coming from different models. Of course, during the alpha phase, we did have some problems, like some differences in some of the sensors, let's say the rain sensor or the pressure sensor. Some of you know already. But other than that, they are very similar, so there are no insights on this part. Now, what recent insights has the team gathered from the data provided by stations overall? So we introduced the quality of data mechanism, as Manos said, and now we can detect problems with our installations. And so we have, let's say, discovered a few people that have their weather station in their living rooms or in their wardrobe.
Or in the toilet.
So, or the toilet, yeah, whatever. Recording precipitation and precipitation. Anyway, so now we can detect faulty installations, problematic installations, and so we're not penalizing anyone. We know that this user exists. Thankfully, they are just a small minority, and they help us to develop our mechanism even further. Like
Without
we can't,
realizing it.
yeah, we can't develop any mechanism that detects bad installations if we don't have users that do bad installations. So thank you for doing that, but please don't do it anymore.
So actually, this will have an effect on the rewards.
Yeah, so this will have.
You can do whatever you want, but once the reward version 2 is activated, you will get an idea what kind of rewards to expect. I think that was one of the questions that Kelly asked.
Yeah. So in the near future, you will be getting notifications about your installations. So you have enough time to take action and fix them. After this mechanism comes into effect, there will be penalties. People will lose rewards. Simple as that.
So
yeah, no.
Point me to a question because I don't know.
You can close your eyes and just point. We don't have an order. We never had an order.
I thought we did.
So,
Questions
with regards to ideal distance, did you answer that? No. Yes, I think.
Well, we have kind of.
Yeah, it's a very similar questions. The station deployment instructions have changed recently with regards to ideal distance from objects that can influence wind measurements, says Scaling. Oh no, it's actually different questions.
So what the question here says, like, are we going to lose rewards because you gave us wrong instructions at the beginning of the project? And I don't think we gave wrong instructions. I think our instructions were clear, but not very strict in the sense that we want the stations to be deployed far away from obstacles. Now, if you try to measure the distance, and Stavros have made some diagrams and using WMO recommendations, like if you have a tree that is this high, then you should be so many meters away and so on. These are kind of, it's difficult to be exact on this, and it's difficult to detect this. We have created some mechanisms that can detect obstacles, but we cannot tell like how many meters away the obstacle is with certainty. So I don't think that what Skelly is describing here is going to be much of an issue. People will lose rewards because they were, a few meters closer to a tree than what they should have been. But obviously, if you put the station somewhere that makes no sense, then that's the whole point of the project. We want to detect those problematic installations and not reward them because the data they produce are not useful. So, yeah, and again, Nikos mentioned it before. I'm just going to rephrase it. The whole point of the beta phase was to find solutions to those kind of issues and to all these problems, and fine tune our algorithms and create the infrastructure to have a sustainable network that produces good quality weather data. And that's what you signed for. This is the beta phase. We're building things as we speak. So it's difficult to treat everybody fair and perfectly fair during the beta phase because we are building the stuff at the same time. After we do the token launch, once the token has been released on a mainnet, yes, at that point we have to be more careful and more, clear maybe into how everything is working, so we can have the best result from the station owner's side as well.
That was pretty clear. Thank you. Stratos, do you want to take the next question?
So from Scaly again, how about a leaderboard of the most accurate stations to get some friendly competition happening? And maybe give some NFT board apes. So as we said earlier, we're currently building network statistics on the Explorer, and that are mostly station related at the moment. You will see more about this in the very, very soon. In the future, we plan to add daily, monthly, or yearly extremes and bring the respective stations into the spotlight. It's not possible to claim the most accurate. I mean, there will be many stations that will be rewarded the full amount of rewards because they are accurate. But we will see extreme values, max number of packets, and many other metrics that maybe would be part of a leaderboard. And then let me get one more from Goldtail. What would be the preference for deployment? Adjoining hexes covering various land styles, or hexes or similar land types, or hybrid? Okay, so first of all, at the moment, feel free to deploy anywhere in the world. There's nothing stopping you as long as it's outside your home, not inside. And ideally, we want to cover variability in land styles. Having said that, as Manos described earlier, we are working on the cell capacity algorithm, as described also in our white paper. And there we combine a digital elevation model of the Earth with weather criteria and land use criteria, like rural versus urban. And we're calculating the maximum number of weather stations that can be in a cell without penalizing additional stations there. So we estimate that this number will be much bigger than one station per cell. And yeah, I mean, we want to cover all the use cases and all land types. Nikos?
Okay.
Yeah, I have. I'm trying. We messed up the order of the question. Sorry, guys.
Doesn't matter. Did they come in a specific order?
Well, it would have been easier if we were answering the questions in the order that we'll put in the chat, because now we're just jumping back and forth. So, Butters, can you give us an update on any new potential consumers, customers of the weather data? So right now we have 5 pilots, B2B pilots that are running. I know they're not a lot, but they're something. They're a good starting point. We had a lot of leads, but enterprise customers are very difficult they have very long cycles. So we have 2 energy pilots, 2 in agriculture, and 1 with outdoor sport events. So all those 5 customers, they want the weather data that we provide. And some of them, how many? 2, 1. No, one of them does not want to touch hardware at all. So it's very convenient that we already have a network in place that has some flexibility into how it expands in relationship to their needs. The other 4 customers, they also want the hardware themselves. So they want to deploy the hardware and also utilize the services that we are building on top of this hardware, because some of the services that we have are quite unique. So hopefully, right now we don't have permission, I guess, to get into details about who the actual customers is, but with some of them we're preparing a press release. So hopefully in the next month or so we can put down some case studies and explain in more details what exactly we did in those pilots and how they benefit from it. Next.
What is my turn again?
Is there going to be an ICO? I answered this in the chat as well. We're not. So initial coin offering means we are selling our token to the community or to anybody, basically. That's not what we want to do. we want to, as we have described in the past, and as you can see in the white paper, our economy is powered by mainly should be powered by offering weather data and weather services to demand side and not by speculation. So we don't want to do an ICO. We don't want to sell tokens. We're not going to sell tokens, but the investors in our company, indirectly, they get a proportion of the tokens as well. So it's not an ICO, it's a token pre-sale to accredited investors. That means that, what the weather station owners do with their tokens, it's a different story. How convenient are you? How certain are you that the data will be sold? So as a company, we used to do weather analytics for almost 7-8 years before we started this project 2 years ago. So we used to do this kind of things with weather stations for large enterprise customers in the agriculture and energy domain. So we're very confident that this data is going to be sold. It takes some time, especially if we're trying to sell data for some areas that the network has not been built yet. So we need to have some substantial network size, network density in order to sell the services. So that means we're kind of limited now to the use cases that we can attract and to the use cases that we can pursue ourselves. We're limited by the size of the network, by the areas that we cover, and by the use cases that the customers are interested in. So when we have customers that they want to deploy their own hardware, that's good. If we have customers that they expect to get the services from an existing network, then obviously we are kind of limited in that sense. That's why we need to grow the network size more. That's why we are improving our marketing from the supply side. We will improve it from the supply side to expand the network.
What does it mean? That was short. Thank you.
They don't need token information. I don't understand the question here. We have an API with the data for the weather station owners. What we don't have, but we do have it, but we haven't shared it with you yet, is the B2B API. So the API that you can consume weather data on stations that don't belong to you. This is what the B2B customers want. And this is the pilots that we're doing. Those pilots are called pilots because we are treating them in a custom way. In the future, those are going to be part of our offering and they're going to be self-served and customers can consume the weather data on their own. Talking about useful. Yes, there's a vesting. If you read the white paper, there's a 3-year vesting for the tokens that the investors and the company gets.
All these are live questions from the chat. I'm collecting them in the document so we can answer them afterwards, or we can answer them right now too.
Guys, I'm answering whatever you're shooting me questions from 3 places.
You're like ChatGPT. There's nothing you don't know. Like anything we throw at you, you can always elaborate it to the last detail. That's why you're CEO, right?
That's how CEOs are going to be replaced in the future with AI.
Don't put your knowledge on the internet and they will never gather it. It will be only unique to you. It will belong to you anyway. So I'm going to answer one more hardware question. Where is it? Last was this. What do we have? So Scalagrim asks, any further updates on the Know Your Station verification timeline? What happens if someone declines, forgets, or doesn't verify? So the Know Your Station process is just one step in the whole process of verifying if a user's weather station is properly installed and sends proper data. So the know your station part is actually a step in the deployment process where the user sends some data identifying his weather station, such as photos or maybe a 360 video, where we can verify if the installation was proper. But this is not the only step to verify if the installation is correct. One example is the algorithm we mentioned before. The quality of data has a series of algorithms that do exactly that. They verify the data to detect any anomalies or any improper installation. For example, we can detect anomalies or in the solar radiance curves, and this way we can know if there are obstacles nearby that would cause wrong measurements. And the purpose of this is not to penalize the user, but to alert him so he can take the necessary steps to fix it in time. And this way, his rewards will not be affected. So you're asking also what happens if someone declines, forgets, or doesn't verify. So data during this unverified period will be marked as such, invalid. And this will affect your rewards. So this data will not be taken into account, let's say. Can I answer one more?
Yes.
Thank you.
I suggest you do this one.
Yeah, this is the next one. Like,
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
suggest you do the next one.
Okay, thank you. That's a good idea, actually. So
But in a short version.
yeah, okay. Will we be informed before mainnet if our station setup is good? Would I have a chance to fix it if I need to? Yes. This is the purpose of the quality of data mechanism that I mentioned before. It will send you a notification once it's deployed. It will be actively monitoring your data, and it will send you notifications to notify of any possible problems so you can fix them in time. Of course, this will be before mainnet launch, so you will have also an opportunity to see it working in the beta phase as well. What should I take this to? Okay, Scala Green.
Don't expand too much now.
Oh, come on, this was probably the shortest answer of all time.
No, the next one. The next one is a bit fluffy.
There's nothing interesting about it. Sorry, Scala Green, but this is a boring question. Please try harder next time, okay? I've heard better questions from you over time. Anyway,
Read the question though.
update on how the Helium rollout went. Any outsiding issues? How has the hardware network performed now with a bunch of them in the field? So Scalagrim asks if there were any problems during the transition from to the Solana chain. Yes, there have been some downtime on the Helium network. It was short. It was sorted out painlessly and quickly. It did not affect us at all. On the contrary, the network has improved over time. I don't think it has anything to do with the transition. We're in talks with Helium all the time, and they let us in some, let's say, inside information that they're changing. Well, it's not inside information anymore, right? Now that you mention
I
it,
don't know what's inside.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not mentioning anything, but they are actually improving the network layer all the time. So you can see the stability improving. We had many problems with, well, quite a few problems, not too many, but we had stations having trouble joining the network before, or maybe having some dead time windows where they wouldn't send anything, although it would look like they did. And now it is apparent that they did some improvements, that because everything is working much better now.
Without us having to modify the firmware.
Yeah, we didn't have to modify anything, and it's getting better by the day, or by the month, I should say. So, quick question again. What do you guys pay in data credit fees across all stations? Asks CF Head Face. So the cost is about $2 per station per year. So it is an insignificant amount. At the moment, we cover all the fees for all the stations. But in the future, probably after mainnet launch, I think. Well, after the mainnet launch will follow. Definitely. Anyway, after the mainnet launch, the user will be responsible to covering these fees. by the means of deducting probably from the WXM rewards, but it's an insignificant amount.
I think this relates to the gas fees for the claim, the Merkle tree claim that I mentioned before. In the future, some fees will be deducted from the rewards, because right now we're paying all the fees. That's okay for now, but in the long run, it's not going to scale much.
So do I really look angry? Should I put my happy face? This is happy face, actually. Sorry. What am I doing wrong? Anyway. Yeah, Stratos, do you want to take the next one? I think you have.
Okay, guys, shoot a few more questions. Otherwise, we're gonna.
No, I have one more
we're gonna go
left.
home. It's night. It's Greece here.
I think also we have a draw in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Lina?
Yeah, but I also.
Giveaway.
No, the giveaway.
Wait, I have skipped one question.
Okay.
Did you answer all your questions?
Yes, I answered all the questions in the way you. But
You choose. Well, okay. So let me finish that. There's one more last question. Will it be possible for helium-based stations to work in other LoRaWAN networks? At the moment, no. Even though this helium-based station, the WS2000, is a proper LoRaWAN weather station, the keys required to provision this station on another network are secret for obvious reasons. So in any case, if for any reason we need to migrate to another network as a whole, as WeatherXM, if we need to move all our weather stations somewhere, it is possible, but it is unlikely to happen because Helium is by far the largest LoRaWAN network. So there's no need for that.
Well, if we have a customer that for some reason does not want to use a Helium infrastructure and wants to use a different kind of LoRaWAN network, their own, maybe a private one, maybe they already have an existing infrastructure, or they want to use a public one like the Things Network, we can facilitate this. This is very easy, technically speaking. But we don't right now. We don't have in the roadmap to open up this possibility without having anybody to want this for. And we actually do have a customer that is asking for this. That's why I'm mentioning it. But it's still under discussion if we're going to support that use case or not. Other questions? Should we do the giveaway thing?
Yeah.
Well, we have the chat questions. Yeah, I forgot.
I think the giveaway is now. Is it automatic?
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
Did it happen already?
No, we have 13 seconds.
13 seconds.
What is there URL or something? Okay. So what?
6 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Go.
I saw the frog, Leo.
Oh, come on.
Scala Grim. Congratulations, Scala Grim. This is not a setup. It was a real bot. Okay. So what did he win? Station.
Helium weather stage.
Wow, you've never seen one of those, I guess. Okay, contact Lina to get your reward.
I will send it to you.
Μπορούμε να τρέξουμε ένα giveaway για κάποια μπουζάκια. Τώρα.
And you set up another one.
Yes.
We can
A few hoodies, maybe.
We can send a few hoodies as well.
Okay.
Okay, shoot a few more questions until Nadia sets up another giveaway. We have t-shirts and
Hoodies, yeah.
that we can share with you guys.
Nikos also has some faulty weather stations.
Yeah, we can give those away along with an NFT. Like early adopter.
Very early adopter.
Great.
Yeah.
It's summer here. We don't need hoodies.
Yeah.
One of those chairs.
we still need chairs.
I'll just each one sneak peek.
Man, yeah, okay, so, no mi sapevo. Allora, io.
I think so. You're holding it. Why not show it?
So we're just filling the gap here. So we have two manufacturers that we're working together for the cellular version. This is one. This is how the 4G is gonna look like.
Or maybe
One of the two is gonna look like. We also have some other sensors in the making. So this is an alternative weather station sensor that could be paired with the 4G or future Wi-Fi gateway or whatever. We're refactoring some things so we can support a wide variety of combinations of sensors and protocols, while keeping the initial design of the cryptographic proofs, which is what makes this project different from all the other weather station hardware out there, basically. And those are the modifications that we do in the hardware. That's what we ask the manufacturer to do in order for their hardware to be WeatherXM compatible, or we do it for them, because in the hardware that we have so far, we are adding the firmware. But yeah. Is it done?
Yeah. No, we have 3 minutes.
Oh, you gave me three. So you gave me 3 more minutes.
We can answer maybe.
So, question: I'm in Nigeria. How can I join this project? If you have Wi-Fi, yeah, Stratus answered basically. But if you have Wi-Fi, just get yourself a weather station, the Wi-Fi one. If you have Helium coverage, you can get the Helium version. And if you wait for a few more months, you can get the 4G, the cellular one. But in the future, you might be able to get a station that speaks to a satellite, but not yet.
integrate the WeatherXM weather station in Starlink.
No, that would be too expensive and too energy demanding. But they are low orbit LoRa and narrowband IoT networks in the making. There are quite a few actually there, 4, 5 satellite networks, companies that are trying to build satellite networks that are compatible with what we're trying to achieve, that could potentially serve a weather station in the future, but none of
Very
them.
future.
Yeah, the problem is that all of these today, they don't have a 24/7, 24 hours coverage of any place on Earth in a way that we can send every 10 minutes. But probably in a year or so, some of these projects will have a dense enough satellite network to satisfy our requirements. So then we can have a weather station that connects directly with satellite and can be deployed in the middle of Africa or in the middle of Alaska or whatever, without having to have Wi-Fi, Helium, or cellular. So what is the giveaway?
Zice πληροφορίες στην καρέκλα.
Yeah. So next giveaway.
Giveaway in 14 seconds.
Okay, 14 seconds. Any questions that we can answer in 40 seconds?
10 seconds.
Yeah.
How many batteries does the station take? 3 batteries or 6 batteries? If it's helium, 2 batteries if it's.
I like how you answer
and
questions
five.
that no one asked.
And I try to come up with a
How
question.
much does your
That's-
weather station weigh?
I don't know. Okay.
Hector,
Okay, good. So this
Guys,
is clearly the second giveaway was the real one. The first one was the fake. That the Scalagrim set
Is
up.
this also set up?
The Scalagrim hacked the bot and gave the gift to
Yeah.
himself.
I know that.
Okay, cool.
And
So guys, contact Lina.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, we need
Yeah,
to.
DM her or you DM them and or arrange t-shirt or hoodies. First come, first served, 3 and 3. And tell us your size, obviously.
Okay, should we write the names on the chat so they know they won?
It's
And does it translate the
on the
message?
channel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
giveaway channel.
Giveaway channel. Accessible to everybody. Full transparency.
I'm banned from that channel because from past, from my
Bad behavior.
but yeah,
Lina
try to set up.
Okay. We need to tone down those jokes because they don't make a lot of sense, I think. Because we have the language barrier here, so we're making some jokes and people are not some of the
Or do you think that it's only us who make jokes, like no one else understands humor,
just saying that,
generic humor?
keep in mind that we're trying to joke here.
But she's an AI, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No sense.
So
makes sense.
goodbye guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.